Thank you for joining us on another exciting video. Today is January the 25th. It is 11 p.m. or I'm sorry, a.m. I am currently here again at the Hamblen County Justice Center. I drove by and I seen the sheriff's vehicle parked in this spot there, and our last interview went superb. Old Glory flying in the breeze like she should be. I had a lot of views. There's a lot of people that want to hear exactly what the sheriff has to say. So he's here. Let's go see if we can have a little interview with him. I would like to discuss the needs, because he mentioned how hard it is to get employees, good deputies in here. So maybe one of you, maybe you know somebody looking for a change. Maybe we could find out exactly what they need out of a deputy, what the requirements are. See if we could get to speak with him. That would be great. Maybe he's available. Let's see if we can go talk to him. I've got my tripod. I've got my trusty body cam. How you doing, sir? Is the sheriff here?
Yes, sir. He's here.
All right. I'd like to speak to the sheriff. Is he available?
I believe he is.
All right. Where are we headed?
He'll let you in.
All right. Employees beyond this point.
Here to see you.
Sheriff, how you doing?
Hey,
Nice to see you again.
How can I help you?
I'd like to talk to you a little bit, if you've got a moment. You had mentioned in our last...
Let me close the door.
Sure, go ahead. Everybody united. That's the way it should be. Everybody united.
Keeps me reminded of that. What can I help you with today?
Well, you had mentioned in our last, I guess you could call it an interview, that you had problems finding good help to fulfill the positions that are needed to run a quality justice center and jail system. I would like to know from you whether or not you have any time. Do you have any time today to talk to me?
Have a seat.
I'd rather stand.
Okay.
That's okay. If you don't mind, can I go ahead and set my stuff up on a tripod? All right, everybody at home, give me just a second. I'm going to place this on down and get set up here. I really appreciate this.
Yes, sir. I have another appointment to keep in a little while, but we will see how this goes and go as long as we can, okay?
All right, I appreciate it. Whenever you're done, sir, you let me know.
Okay.
And I will be out of your hair. Getting set up here. I forgot my appropriate mount, so we're just gonna have to wing this here. We'll start on that one too. All right, for everybody who doesn't know who you are, could you introduce yourself a little bit?
I'm Esco Jarnigan, the sheriff of Hamblen County. Been a sheriff since 2006.
All right. So I'm here today. I only really want to focus and talk about your needs as far as getting quality candidates to fill the positions that you need now. We're not even talking about what you're going to need if they end up building this big jail that we don't need. I want to know what you need right now, because even if they decide to build this jail or whatever they decide to do, we're talking about a couple of years down the road before it's actually ready to move in. So can you tell me what you're looking for out of some quality candidates, what it takes to be one of those?
Well, we have a 56-man roster in the jail that we can hire. Unfortunately, since I've been the sheriff for the last 14 years, I guess it is now, going on 15, we have failed to fill that roster year after year after year. We have 56 positions that we need to fill. Here recently, we have been as many as 8 to 10 employees short of that 56
Wow.
every shift. And with the uncertainty of the current situations that we are dealing with now, when someone gets tested positive, those people have to go in quarantine. The employees are not exempt, and the inmates certainly not exempt. And we have had many cases that have tested positive, so the employees have to be quarantined. So that lessens the manpower. So we have had to work many hours overtime, and that's a stress level for the employees to have to work 2 12-hour shifts.
So you said that you were short about 8 to 10 employees. Now, is that pre-COVID?
Yes, that's pre-COVID.
Okay, so you're already short-handed, and then there's more people in the system staying in the jail that currently should be. So not only are you understaffed, but there's also more population than what the structure was designed for. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. The structure was designed to house 255 capacity. A lot of people don't realize 255 capacity, you can't have 255 and still be within the capacity. That's just a line in the sand, so to speak. The true reality of that, the state wants you to have something like 85% of that 255. They never want you to be at 255 because then you don't have any cushion to go beyond. If you're at 85%, then you can keep arresting people and approaching that because people come in and they go out, so you can stay below that 255. But when you get to the capacity, you have no room left. You are overcrowded at that point.
Right.
Now, the situation is about a year ago, the Supreme Court, and I'm not saying that they should or should not have done it. I'm just saying that the Supreme Court submitted a executive order, so to speak, from the Supreme Court to remove everybody that they could from the jail. So that filtered down to the local, and at that time we had approximately 330 some inmates in the jail. We have peaked out at 474 inmates in this jail.
Not quite double.
Right. And bear in mind, the capacity, the limit is 255, but we peaked at 474, and that was like a year, 18 months ago. So the Supreme Court can issue an order to get everybody out of jail that we could, and mainly it was because of COVID-19 for one thing, and there's some other issues going on about the trying to get people out of jail, but I'm not going to go into that. But COVID-19 has had an effect on so many, and so many has to pay the ultimate price. They've lost loved ones. I've lost friends in the COVID-19. It's a serious uncertainty of the future right now. But
let me ask you a question. It's been brought up to my attention, or asked to me. This isn't what our conversation is about, but if you can help enlighten just a little bit. The inmates that are currently housed here, are they only arrested within Hamblen County, or do other counties transport their prisoners here?
Okay, let me finish, and I will answer that question. But when the Supreme Court issued that, we had 330 some. We dropped that down to about 178 by orders of the court system. Now, the tragedy of that is those inmates are violators of society's law, and those inmates was turned back loose into the community.
Yep.
Now, to answer your question more directly, the percentage of the jail population is made up a small percentage of Hamblen County as such, but we have quite a bit of inmates, quite a few inmates that are from out of county.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to touch on that because we were talking about the overcrowding and so on and so forth. But back to what you need to fulfill the positions here. Talk to the people. That's who's on the other side of this camera.
We are open. When I first came to work here, the not inmates, but the correction officers was basically making less than $10 an hour. That pay raise has, by nature of the court system or whatever, has finally gotten up to, I think it's $13.50 an hour starting out for a correction officer. It's decent money, but it's not enough to pay those employees for what they have to deal with every day.
I want to touch on that real quick. The judges in the justice system, they lay fines to people. Not everybody gets incarcerated, but most people end up paying some sort of fee or fine or penalty. Do you happen to know how those funds are dispersed or what percentage of that goes back to the jail? If you don't, please don't answer. If I will make a records request if I need to the appropriate people. But if you do have that information, the percentage that does come back for the jail system itself.
I do not have that. I would suggest that you would talk to someone else that would have the paperwork. Actually, they could share with you on that.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah. But anyways, the starting pay is $13.50, and you've been here 6 months. You raise up to $14. The tragedy of that is, once you get the 50 cents raise, there's no incentive after that. And I'm trying to challenge that. We have got to have some kind of incentive. At one point, they did have step raises here at the Hamblen County Sheriff's Department. So you had an objective to try to do a good job in order to get a step raise at the end of the year. And I felt like it worked good, but it was done away with before I got here, and I have never been able to reestablish any kind of pay scale. They have what they call midpoint and maximum point that you can top out at. Most employees that working at the Hamblen County Sheriff's Department would never see midpoint before they retire, much less max out. And that's just not right. I mean, we have got to fix that problem. That is a serious problem with employees if you're going to try to reach out to community and get someone to come up here and make this as a career. Because there's a lot of places in the community here that will start you out $18 an hour.
Sure.
And they're begging for help.
They are begging for help. Everybody's begging for help. I've been begging for help. It's difficult, and sometimes the money brings in better candidates. Sometimes money really doesn't matter how much you pay someone. They either do good or they don't. Can you tell me, is that just within the county that the pay is a little bit lower than the rest of the state, or why is that for Hamblen County?
I cannot answer that without being negative, but I feel like that we could do better with the employees within the county than what we do all across the county employees. The county employees as such do not get paid that well. In comparison to a lieutenant with the Hamblen County Sheriff's Department and a lieutenant with some of the local agencies here, the pay difference can be as much as $20,000.
Well, I don't know if you're aware or not, but I did do a records request, and I have requested the pay of everybody that is within the department, because I would like to do a study myself with facts on what the difference pay is through other counties within Tennessee or East Tennessee, and I will be making records requests to all of those facilities as I have time. Right now, I really need to focus on Hamblen County because we have our own issues right here before I start going anywhere else. But so tell me a little bit about what you look for in a candidate. What are the requirements?
Well, the requirements, they have to pass a physical fitness test, and it's not real strenuous. They have to do setups, they have to do push-ups, and they have to do a mile within the time limit. They can walk it or they can run it. It's not really difficult, but we have become a society of just obesity in America. I mean, that's not being ugly or anything. We are a obese nation. And it's difficult a lot of time for these young people to actually pass the test. But once they pass the test, they have to have a psychological profile done on them to see if they are mentally stable enough to do the work.
That's great.
And once they pass that, then they will go into the jail position, because that's the position that you have to hire in at, unless there's circumstances where possibly you could be hired straight into the road. But most of the time you have to go through the jail in order to advance to the road position. So you have to have immense training. You have to go through the academy, jail academy, to get certified. You have to be certified to be a jailer. You have to have a clean record. You have to be at least 18 years of age. We have actually dropped the hiring age. Is it Tony?
Yes, sir.
Tony, down to 18. We are desperate. Desperate people do desperate things in desperate times.
They do.
We have lowered the age down to 18. Well, the insurance company has put so much restrictions on hiring the 18-year-olds that they are limited use for us, because for one, they can't be out here transporting people. They can't carry a gun. Things like they can work in the jail, but they can't do what a certified officer could if he was 21 years of age.
Sure. Okay.
But we have gotten to that point. We have lowered the age to 18, and that's not worked either. I think what's going to have to work is when I say they, I'm talking about the governing body is going to have to bite the bullet. They're going to have to pay these employees to do the difficult, stressful job that they do every day. And it's a life-threatening job every day. Almost every day we have an assault in the jail. You know, these young people can't handle that. We have actually had people that would not finish their shift once they got down there. So we started doing a walkthrough with the candidates down to let them know what they're going to be facing. And that helps us to eliminate time and money.
Yeah.
And we have actually had candidates say, hey, I can't do that job. But we know ahead of time before we invest money and time in them. So we lose a lot of people when they do the walkthrough, the orientation. They say, I can't do it. Then you have people that wants to try it, and then we lose them. We have about a 60% turnover in the jail. That is totally unacceptable, costly, safety violation issues and everything else, because at one time since I've been sheriff, this has been a few years ago, the senior correction officer, this may shock a lot of people, but the senior correction officer had 9 months. He was a senior man. And we got to do something about that. And until we fix the pay scale, we can't attract people.
So your turnaround rate seems extremely high. Is that common in this field? Are other local counties dealing with the same situation?
Yes.
They are. So it's about our region.
I talked to the other sheriffs. We have a great relationship with the surrounding counties. We depend on each other. I talked to them, and they will tell you right up front, the worst job they have is the jail issues. And they can't get help. They can't keep help. We all in the same boat. It's getting to be pretty scary times out here.
It is. I'm a business owner, and I have the same issues. But I just started this YouTube channel. It hasn't even been on a week. And they give me a ratio of the breakdown of people who view these videos. And, I would have always anticipated that the younger generation that always has their phones and are always on it would be the ones viewing these the most. But honestly, they're at the minimum. There's just a little bit less 65 plus people that have watched my videos than there are people under the age of 23 or 25. My most views are from 25 to 45, which is right where I would say the prime people for the positions, because they have a little bit of life experience. They're not right out of school. I think those people are probably your better candidates to fill the positions. And luckily, that's who's been watching these videos. So hopefully we can help you out there. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Continue.
Well, I want to go on record once again, because I can't say this enough. I do not support the new jail as presented. It's a 4-story jail that requires the minimum of 128 employees. That will burden the taxpayers with an additional, if they can get to 128, that will burden the taxpayers with an additional $6 to $7 million per year. each year it's going to be increased by $6 or $7 million. That's just for the salaries of those 128 employees. We cannot, in my opinion, we cannot fill a 128-man roster when we can't fill a 56-man roster. I go on record against this concept. I think this is my opinion. I know the county commissioners have voted on it. I'm not here to talk negative of them. They did what they felt like they needed to do. I'm going to do what I feel like I need to do today. I voiced my opinion against the jail because I know there's other properties in the Hamblen County area that I know there's property that could have been bought for $500,000, and it was substantially like 17 acres for $500,000. I don't understand the concept of building here, trying to put a round peg in a square hole, so to speak. This jail itself was built on a sinkhole. That's the reason we have the problems that we have with the mold, of the poor ventilation, of the water coming into the jail. Water runs downhill. We have built, when I say we, I don't want to be characterized as part of that. This jail was built in the sinkhole.
Okay.
So you got problems with that already. This jail also is the only jail in the state of Tennessee that is partially built underground. Well, that's going to cause problem. Well, we stand in that right now. If you went straight down, you'd be underground.
Yes.
So that's going to cause a lot of problem with a lot of dampness.
Like a basement would.
Yes. The state of Tennessee, the last time they inspected us was, we failed the inspection in 2010, I think it was. We became decertified because of all the conditions I just told you.
Yes.
We can't fix that.
I saw that on the reports.
We can't fix that. The overpopulation is the reason we fail. Overcrowdedness. We can't fix that because if people do bad things, they come to jail. I know there's a move on now to try to keep people from coming to jail, and that's another situation, you know. But as long as they bring someone to jail here, and no offense to Morristown Police Department, but Morristown Police Department generates a lot of the population of the jail here because they're a lot bigger staffed than the Hamblen County Sheriff Department is. But as long as they bring them to jail, we have to lock them up. That is our duty. And my mission on that is to safely receive and safely house. And I tell the inmates, I say, listen, you're not a bad person unless you keep coming back. You are guilty of one thing. You are guilty of making a bad decision. And that doesn't make you a bad person unless you continue to make bad decisions.
That's correct.
And I said, you know, when you get out of jail, find new friends. Try to get control of your life. We have really got to address the issue of the revolving door because it's constantly coming in and out, in and out, in and out. We are not fixing the problem. And we can't continue to try to deal with the problem when you can't bail yourself out of correction. But you can re-educate people's mindset, or try to. And the most terrible thing for me to witness is seeing these young people destroy their lives on meth and pain pills and whatever else they've taken out there. And once they start, it seems like it's very difficult to get off. So my opinion on that is prevention. It's a lot easier to treat prevention than it is to try to address the cure, because some people will never be cured from drug addiction.
No, a lot of people that do have the opportunity to go to rehab and get that help, they sit there and their thoughts the entire time, no matter if they're there a month, 6 months, or a year, it's, hey, as soon as I get out, I want that first hit, I want that first whatever. And so they're there, they're going through the steps, but they're not ever actually focused on what the true objective is of their stay. So does Hamblen County offer any kind of rehabilitation for these people?
They do in a sense, but it's such a low-key presentation, and I don't say that to be negative about it. It's such a small baby step. When you got a population of I think today we've got 254 inmates in jail. When you can have that kind of population and you can only change 8 or 10 people, it don't feel like you're making much of a difference. Now, don't get me wrong. I think any rehab program can change the life of one person for the better is a successful program. if they can save that one drug addict's life, it has been successful. Because these inmates in jail, they are there because they use poor choice. Doesn't make them bad people. But if we don't re-educate them, they're going to keep coming into the jail, in and out, in and out. And that's a burden on society because they can't work, because they can't stay sober enough to hold down a job.
So is that the main issue? The main filling of the jail is drug problems.
Yes, we did a survey on that, and one survey we did with the women population, and this may shock you, but it was honest survey without any names, so we could better understand the drug addiction problem. And the women survey, the age that they started taking drugs was 9 years of age.
Wow.
And they are 40-something now. And this one particular person with no name on it, she's 40-something now. She's still a drug addict. And she started taking drugs because she found them, guess where? In Mama and Daddy's house.
Wow.
And she's been addicted since 9 years of age. And how can you change? Has society failed those people? I think so.
You know, and a lot of times I feel that it's not necessarily the drug itself that's addicting. It's the act of doing that drug. People get bored, right? So when you're bored, you start to reminisce. And when you get bored, you start sometimes doing things that you really shouldn't be doing because you have nothing else to do. And, you know, that's why I would like to be able to see a little bit more go on and more activities for the public here, other than the every once in a while, you know, show that they may have, or park festivals or something along those lines. We need to be able to keep people a little bit more entertained, a little bit more busy, or give them a little bit less time. Because the people who work all the time and have the 10, 12-hour jobs, they don't have time to go out and to do mischief. They're tired. They do their little errands. They go home. They eat. If they have kids, they deal with them, and that's it. It's the people that are sitting around that are not achieving a positive outlook on change for every single day. You've always got to learn something new. So maybe we can bring that up someplace. I can bring that up. And see if we can't get a little bit more rehabilitation happening in our area. Maybe some programs locally, because I don't know of any local AA places or anywhere for somebody to go and get help. And the big thing is that a lot of people, it's such a small area. Everybody knows everybody. So they don't want to be ashamed that they go in there. So maybe we could find a place like that, or start something, you know, local. Maybe we could get anybody, any of my viewers on there. If you have any kind of addiction, know anybody that does, would like to start a little program someplace, at a church or a park, get together on a regular basis, chit chat, talk, make friends. You never know, you might find your next loved one there. But anybody out there that can maybe do something like that, help out the public. Our public people higher up that make these choices are not out to seem to want to help us, the people. The sheriff seems to be very genuine of what he's saying. This is the second time I've met him. I don't know much about him other than a little bit of research that I've done. But it's up to us, we the people. We want change. We have to make change. If we allow other people to try to make our change, we allow them to steer us in the direction that they want us to go. We need to steer us in the direction that we, the people, need to go. Sheriff, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, you know, I don't know what the future holds. We are living in uncertain times. We are living in evil times. We are living in times where good is projected as bad, bad is projected as good. It's a terrible time to be in medical. It's a terrible time to be in law enforcement. And we are losing people from law enforcement programs. We are losing people from the medical programs because they just don't want to deal with what they have to deal with. So we need to come together as a community. And I say this, and I said this before, the best weapon that any governing body on any level has is the ignorance of the people and the lack of their participation. They will sit back and say, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know they did that. I didn't. The reason they don't know that is because they don't take time out to go to the county meetings. They don't take time out to get involved in the civic groups. They don't take time out to get involved in the community. They take, but they don't want to give back their time. But the ignorance of the people, they're going to reap financial burdens because there's some people right now in this county does not know who the mayor is, do not know who the sheriff is. There's some people right here in this county right now don't know where the jail is being built. There's people in this county right now doesn't even know we're building a new jail. And I strike that they are building a new jail. But it's ignorance of the people. That's the best weapon that any county government can have.
You know, and I agree 100%. I was one of those people you were just talking about up until a couple of months back. And certain things caught my attention, and that's what got me out here. But you're right. I knew that you were sheriff just because I heard your name mentioned a couple of times. I didn't even know if you were still currently sheriff. My ignorance, I thought that there was the same mayor for the city and the county. I just recently found out that the city mayor is the city mayor, county mayor is the county mayor, two totally different offices, and each of them have different other areas within their county. So I just found that out. I'm one of those people you talk to. I always thought that the commissioner meetings were packed with people, concerned citizens. They're not. They're the same few people that are good-hearted and really want to make a change, but the commissioners, the mayor, they are not listening to those same people because they just push those people off to the side. The people are the ones that are going to make the difference. If they don't show up, they don't voice their concerns, nobody knows. But like myself, we thought